Hello folks, this is Audiotron 1003 aka Barry Shepherd, Electro Barry. This is a rather unusual sort of video I'm doing for my channel. It's more for Joe out in California who's buying my vocoder, which is the EMS System 2000, which I've featured earlier in the week, well actually at the weekend, which he's going to buy and use for one of his projects. So basically the main point of this video is to sort of let him see who I am without all the Electro Barry nonsense and everything else, and tell him why I've got this vocoder, the reasoning behind it in the first place, and what this means to me in terms of the machine and everything. Now, I know I'm not looking direct at the camera because I'm concentrating on the screen on my tablet, and I'm just not used to these kind of vlog type things. So I'm just going to go for it, warts and all. So anyway, like I said, this is the EMS System 2000 vocoder. I bought it in 1989 from Music In Nottingham, United Kingdom. And the reason why I bought this machine was because I always loved vocoders, and ever since I heard Let's Boogie, for example, by Earth, Wind and Fire, and Roger Troutman, who happened to use talk boxes such as In the Mix, that kind of thing, I've always fell in love with the robot voices in music. So after listening to a lot of electric funk like Pretty Tony, aka Freestyle, Jamie Jupiter, Egyptian Lover, and Johnson Crew, Project Future, Captain Rock, and all of those other electro freaks out there, and of course a lot of the West Coast stuff like Uncle Jam's Army and Planet Rock and all of it. I mean, I could go on and on about this sort of thing. Not to mention the stuff from Britain such as Queen, Radio Gaga, ELO, which is Electric Light, excuse me. Anyway, sorry about that. I think I jumped there. What happened was a member of the family came into the room to give me something, and I wasn't expecting anybody to come in. So, like I said, warts and all, because I really can't be bothered to start again. So, yeah, I was on about the West Coast guys like Uncle Jam's Army. So, anyway, back to the reason why I bought the vocoder. It was 1989, sometime in the summer, I imagine. I was made unemployed from a printing factory. I was given more money than I knew what to do with back then. I had about £3,000, which I don't know, about 3,500, 4,000 US dollars. And I decided, after hearing Murder Rock by Reggie Griffiths, that I finally wanted to buy a vocoder. So I went to Music In and I basically asked them if they could order me one. Now, they told me that the only people that would provide me with one of these is EMS down in Truro, United Kingdom. And so I went to the bank. I got a cheque for £1,050, and I handed it over to Music In. I waited a few weeks, maybe a month, and then this thing arrived. And in all that time I filled my head with Murder Rock, like I say, by Reggie Griffiths, until eventually it became the theme tune for my vocoder. When this thing arrived, I used to have a Korg Poly 800 and a Casio CZ101 synthesizer, and as soon as I got it, I plugged it in, and the first thing I tried to do was create Cylon sounds by your command, Imperial Leader, all that kind of stuff. followed by electric boogie, breakdance, and all the usual cliches you hear with vocoders, including "this stuff is really fresh." After I'd finished messing about, I then tried to program my synthesizers to create excitation waveforms, because I was trying to emulate Johnson Crew, such as Pac Jam, that kind of thing, Hashim, Narfish, all those kind of things. And I never could quite get it right, and the main reason was because I didn't have a Roland SVC 350 vocoder. I've got an EMS System 2000. Great if you want to be a Cylon, not if you want to be Egyptian Lover. So I kept it for a while. I lent it to a friend who used it on a rack for a few years. He used it as a filter to basically remove all of the digitized sounds and sort of rough up some of his sounds to make them sound more analog. So he never used it as a vocoder in the traditional sense. I made a few sort of homemade records using his help. I went for a phase of recording all of my hip-hop albums onto tapes and then making a virtual DJ by introducing every album and track using my vocoder. And those tapes, if I can get this right, let's see. So, where's my finger? So I'm up here. So all this lot, if you can see it, that's all of the original tapes from 1986 to 1991, and they all have, in some way or another, my voice rabbiting on about nothing in particular. So anyway, what does a vocoder mean to me? Well, it means the golden days of electric funk. It means taking a very large stereo, like the one I featured in my earlier video, out on the streets of Nottingham on a sunny day and blasting out Space is the Place by Johnson Crew, listening to that rasping vocoded voice. It meant blasting out the Planet Rock beat and hearing all of the classic cliches and songs and raps, including Project Future. And the vocoder, as it were, it was a kind of a physical sort of way for me to connect with the music, because I'm not a DJ, I'm not a record producer, I'm just a guy with a stereo who loved the music, which is what the NG83 film was all about. But in this case, this is just me, an ordinary guy, now 51, saying goodbye to, so basically, if I can get it on camera, this is my old friend, the OVC, the oscillating voice controller, which I also mentioned in another video. So Joe, basically I have one more small surprise for you. I was digging around in some old paperwork, and although the original receipt was lost in 1990, I managed to go back to the Music In shop in Nottingham and get them to do me a kind of a duplicate, although they forgot what it was for, so I had to tell them. And this is more or less an original receipt from the music store, although there's a bit more value to it because I paid for microphones and other things, so that's added on. But I'm going to include this in the box with the vocoder. So this is it. This is an original receipt for the machine that I bought. Okay, so I'm going to let you have this. So not only have you got the one and only owner of this machine, you've also got the full provenance, and you've got a receipt to go with it. So I don't think there's much more I can say, because then I'd just be waffling needlessly. But I do hope that when you finally get this, whenever it gets there, that you fully enjoy this as much as I have. And by the way, I keep eyeing up the 350s, and I'm talking myself slowly into buying one regardless of whether or not I use it. So with a bit of luck, who knows, maybe I'll have a vocoder like yours, and you'll obviously have a vocoder like I used to have. So anyway, it's enough waffling. Thanks for listening. Bye.